plumbing's all done, pretty much. One pesky little leak. Just got to sort that out. Well, it's another job off the list. Oh, we have a cabinet. Oh, have a look. All cleaned up finally, and the doors now don't rub. Free the rollers off. One door opens and the other one still does that a little bit. Not a lot I can do about that. Can't complain for the money. Good enough for government work. Well, I thought I'd just cover one of these little gizmos called a dry lining box, a drywall box, because obviously in different parts of the world they use slightly different techniques and different materials, and obviously we're on chipboard here rather than drywall, or plasterboard as we call it. But it's about the same thickness, comes in 9.5mm, and basically you just cut a square to the size required. The lugs push out and you pull them back and they click under. They're adjustable so they'll cope with different thicknesses of board, and you've got your knockouts to pass your cables through, and your screws on your faceplate attach into the fixing lugs, and as you're doing it up they pull tight against the backboard so they don't move about. I know the American ones you just have a little square things and you have to screw them to the stud walls, as the ones I've seen anyway, but I don't know whether you've got anything like that. But I thought I'd just cover that because I know there's a few sparkies over the pond there, including the drunken one, and obviously the surface mount patras as we call them. Again, sort of similar idea, there's various knockouts on them and various types, the twin one there and the single one there. But I'll just cover that because I know things are done slightly different. Well, we've had yet another clear out, or clear up and a clear out. Right, now we've got to decide. Next phase is continuing with the electrics along the back wall there. So obviously we know the big fridge is living here, so somewhere we've got maybe up there to the right put a power point, which could also serve this one as well, because I think the cable is generous enough to go along there. I've noticed with a lot of the newer appliances they barely give you enough cable to reach the socket. I'm thinking it might stay there for the time being, because obviously this is 78 centimeters wide, this is round about a meter, so obviously I'm not going to get anything in the space left, but 1000mm 1 meter here would give me the ability to put the hot freezer, which is slightly taller, and then a little under counter freezer next door. Hopefully that should give me enough room to fit both of those there. Plus I've got a small drinks fridge and a fermentation fridge, which would fit on the top of the other one. So that would bring them in here and get them out of the way, and leaving me this, as you can see, my old conical. She's yet to be christened. A couple of FVs there chucked in there just to find a home for them temporarily. This could be used for either. I've got the shelves, so it could be turned around to beer storage, and or a big fermentation for the conical as it is, because I also have another one, so I really need somewhere to put a second one, which could stand on the unit here. But I also have a wine rack that I want to try and get into. I'm going to run out of room. Need a bigger brewery, maybe 2.1. Will be under. No, yeah, actually, well, this is being built because I can't build the one I wanted to build in the immediate future. Anyway, so this will suffice for however long we need to use it for. till it falls down probably, but yeah, make a nice little room for a business in the future, but who knows. Yeah, so we're moving forward with the wiring now. Still trying to get a consumer unit, one of the few things I haven't got in my box. Well, not one that I want to use anyway, the rest of them should be in a museum. So that's about it for now, and I'll update you with the pros and cons of the extraction system, which well, we'll test it and see what happens. Well, here we are, I think, with the final edit of positions of the equipment. As you can see, I've moved the fridge down. The reason being, if it stayed there, I needed a gap to allow this door to open. And because this is right hand hung, I also needed to allow a gap on this, which would have meant that this had to be pushed down, so I sort of lost 4 inches also here for that fridge, and then this would have had to have been 4 inches away or so to allow this door to open. So I thought if I swap them round, doesn't interfere with it this side, gives me a nice illuminated work area, the light directly above it. And I think because if I'd have kept pushing everything down, if I do need to pull this shelf out, there wasn't enough clearance to get it round, because it would catch on that. So now it will just, it's a little bit awkward because the wheels are buggered on it, but I don't know how easy it'll be when it's loaded up with whatever it's going to have on it. I'm thinking some well, whatever, but you know, obviously in organised storage boxes and things, so it's a little bit easier to contain it all. Should I want to open the door up for any reason, there's nothing sort of poking out, getting in the way, and you end up having to take half of it off to move it. So it works. I've put a power point down under there, which you cannot see because this box is in the way. And I can't remember which button turns the light on. So we'll use this one. There we go. So you can see I've measured it out so it was below the shelf. Now I just cable clipped down there, so the cable wasn't long enough to put one further up on the wall. And that bit works. So the cable is just clipped up along there. I was going to bring another socket down on the wall here, but I don't think there's, you know, I can always put an extension socket on here if I need to. So that one will be there, the cable off the chiller unit will be coiled up and can attach to that one. Then it makes its way out the wall, through there, sealed back up, and then along the wall on the outside to a connection point, ready to marry up with what will be the fuse box on the other side of that wall. So in its format it works. Obviously I've got my little bench area here, which no doubt I'll end up getting filled with something. So that's the electrics inside the building pretty much done. I've just got to connect the cooker hoods up, and I might change those to plugs because the cooker hoods have got plugs on them just for simplicity, and I can always, if I need something, whatever it might be, I can always put a double on one and use the other for something else. And up here I've got to terminate the exhaust fan so I can actually reach, because it was going to have the fan mounted on this beam, which would have then made it a bit awkward to turn on and off. I would have had to run the cable around to a plug. Obviously you can see the hoses have got to be sorted out and shortened up, and then it goes out there, and I've got found a little trim ring that will go around there just to tidy that up and do a fan test, because obviously I think with the configuration, when this one is blowing or sucking up air and blowing it out the top, obviously some of the air pressure is going back this way, so it's counteracting the suction on this one. So I've played around with it a little bit. If it's going to be a major detrimental problem, then I'll just route that separately out of the wall, and just change the T out and just have that ducted straight out. It might be that this one's not really used that much, because obviously depending on how I have everything, I think the triple bay fan is slightly more powerful, a little bit more quieter as well, but I'll cover that more in when I've sort of sorted that out, probably on tomorrow's projects. And I've got some smoke pellets, so we can give them a little test. I know I've sort of played about with it, and it's not, I can turn that fan on, which draws, it sort of helps counteract the blowing effect that one's having back going into that one, and vice versa. If you have this one on, some of the air's being blown down into that. The trick is to obviously have this one pumping out more than that by, you know, adjusting the fan speeds. But chances are this is only going to have the HLT underneath it anyway. It's near the edge of the table. I might even end up having to move them a little bit, I don't know. Just to give me a little bit more work space down this end, or vice versa, moving them up. Obviously the hood covers I've used the two, because they're adjustable, and then you trim them to height. So basically they're the two parts of one hood, because obviously they foul with that overhang. But we'll see how it gets on. There's always an engineering solution. That's it really. I think I've got to find a home for this sheet of stainless steel. So obviously that gets in the way of cladding the run along here. And of course it dawned on me, I've got a control panel to find a home for as well. Yes, I don't think there's going to be enough room there, depending on what freezer or fridge arrangement I have on this little end up here. So the chances are it's going to end up here on the wall there, and then the kettles and whatnot will be under the hood, so I haven't got to lean over them to get to the panel. And another little stainless steel item that can be used and connected to the water facilities when required can either live there or there when it's needed. But I was hoping to sort of have it in a semi-permanent position, because obviously that thing that sticks out the top of the lid is quite tall, and gets in the way. So if it's got a permanent living spot along the row here, so we'll have HLT, mash tun, boil kettle, and a hot water evaporating device, as you all know what it is. And then obviously if not, it can go on the drain, and the power point is conveniently positioned for it along with the water supply. Yes, we did plan that, and many of those sleepless nights we have. So I just got to find an outside light as well to pop out the back here, and we're nearly getting there. Got a few more bits just to sort out, but it's mainly just the small bits. We've got the plug, got the switch on. The door still needs a bloody clean, but we are on the downward slope of finality. Still got those other bits and pieces to sort out, whether they'll live here, the dehumidifier thing. That might go up there, it might not. Might just be an awful waste of time and electricity. But we'll have a little play around with that when we've got sorted. So I think tomorrow there's another clean up. Get the floor all wiped down, touch up the old scratches and scuffs which have come off of the fridge feet, which are knackered. They're down in there. They've worn through the rubber housing, so that's why they've caused scrapage. But actually with the floor drooping at the back, I've removed the adjustable feet at the front, and that is virtually, as you can see, it's flush against the wall near enough. It's as level as it needs to be to keep a fridge happy, shall we say. And I just plugged her in and she fires up still. I haven't tried to see if she got down to temperature, but I don't want to put too much load on electricity with the heater running in here and turning the old vacuum on and off. Well, she's I think a 2 kilowatt job, and we're only running off a plug top on the cables at the minute. So again, that's another task to sort out, is to get proper lecky in, proper water feed. We've got sort of bits and pieces we can do something for now, but that'll keep you going for another video, won't it? Look at all that bloody shiny I've got to keep polishing.